May this video be the beacon that lights your way, offering insights and direction for your journey.
Is it clear to you? Hello? Oh, there is people in the upper region. Can we light them up? I just can't see them. If there's no more extra lights, you got to light up yourself. Well, this youth and truth, why this has been on my mind for a long time because it's almost a constant question in the last many years that I've been active. People come to me and say, Sadhguru, where were you when I was 20? If I had met you 25 years ago, I would have done this, I would have done that. You came just too late. This is like a constant vein, it's happening. So I thought we will step out and meet all those people who are below 25 years of age in this country. And that's why the youth and truth. What we call as youth or what we call as life, essentially is a certain combination of certain amount of energy and certain amount of time. Time is slipping away for all of us. You do something, it goes away, you do nothing, it goes away, if you sleep, it'll go, if you're awake, it'll go. Time is rolling away for all of us at the same pace. And time rolling away is not about the clock, it just means we are ticking off life till the final tick, okay? When we are young, we don't really understand this, that we are at the peak of our energy only in that time that we call as youth. When you're youthful, you will not understand this, you think you're going to be like this forever, but you will see as time goes by, energy levels are not the same. So when the energies are at their peak, the exuberance of youth, if it could be tempered with more clarity and balance, I think this energy could become something tremendous. If the necessary clarity and balance is not there, then the same energy could be disastrous both for the individual, the society, the nation and the world. So it's in this context we thought if we can bring some clarity and balance into the life of the youth in this country, and once this is over, the next phase is going to go international and we're going to reach out to students everywhere to bring some, at least a little more clarity and balance so that this exuberance of energy which is only at this phase of life will find fruit, will find fruitful expression in one's life, doesn't go waste and doesn't turn against ourselves. For most human beings, they don't need enemies, they're just doing great. Please.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. It's an absolute privilege to have you among us today. Our girls are super excited, as you can see.
They were excited when Ranveer Singh came, I saw, not…
It's an absolute joy to have you among us today. Before we begin, I will quickly introduce the panel to you. This is Kajal Hamjad. This is Anjali Chandrana. And I will be your moderator for today, Anisha Koshi. So we can begin with the first question. So we've had an array, a plethora of questions come in from the entire student body. Teachers too wanted to sneak in a couple of questions now and then. But most of these questions have come in from our active student body, either through social media or otherwise, as personal formats as well. So the questions are representative of the mass. It's not an individual question that we will be asking. Yeah, and
A question doesn't need so much explanation.
So let's dive right in. So Kajal has the first question.
So I think the first question as such is something that happened in recent time. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Section 377 being decriminalized. Yeah. And I think most of the youth, everyone, me, I think most of us would have gone back home. We're very happy about this. And we talked to our parents and people from the, older generation. right? So this is something that I do with my parents on a regular basis. We sit and we discuss a lot of topics. So this is something that happened to me and something that I've heard from a lot of people as well. So when we discuss something like this with our older generation, they said, we are not going to debate with you as such. We're not going to impose our perspectives on you. But this is not accepted in our religion, right? So when I took a step back and I thought how difficult it would be for kids, for youth from the LGBT community to come out to their parents, and at the same time, when the parents pose this restriction that it is not accepted in our religion, how does a child and how does a parent deal with it? And sometimes a parent does cut off from their child as well. So just want to know your perspective on, the LGBT community or homosexuality as such with religion, and at the same time how a parent and a child should deal with it. Because I think a relationship between a parent and child is so important, right? And to lose something on that lines is not something.
Let's see, probably till now, largely in the social space, in the media space, in the social media space, everybody is pitching either for or against. Can we for some time not pitch for or against and simply look at the issue as it is? Can we? Look at me, I'm not a prude, okay? Let that be clear. So, when we say sexuality, let's understand this. It is something nature has put in us because there is something called as perpetuation of the race or the species, otherwise it won't happen. Of course, we being human beings, having more brains than body, supposed to, because of that, we kind of eliminated the reproductive part and just using the pleasure part of it, all right? This is sexuality right now largely in the world. But essentially, this pleasure also is come into the sexuality process because otherwise, well, if there was no pleasure to it, maybe we wouldn't be born, you and me. Our parents would not have gone into it if there was no pleasure at all attached. Yes or no? So we are here because of that. So there is no denying it or putting it under the carpet, that's not the thing. But somebody has a certain kind of sexual preference which has got nothing to do with reproductive process as such. It is their personal preference because every individual has the right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their body because it's their body. But if it is something harmful, you're going to cut your nose off or you're going to cut something else off, then maybe we will try to prevent you. But you're not causing any harm to yourself in that way, then it's your business as long as you do something in your private. Right now, the Supreme Court decision is just that what a person does in their private space is nobody's business. Government need not enter people's bedrooms, that is the law, all right? And I think it's right. But at the same time, why so many of you are upset about it or for it or against it is simply because there has been a campaign around the world. I'm saying the campaign should stop. There may be a few people who are oriented that way, leave them alone, it's their business, all right? Even if you're a heterosexual, you don't go about talking it on the street. Hello? You don't, isn't it? Because private matters must be handled that way unless you give some sanctity to this body. Please understand this. The fundamental difference between animal nature and human nature is this: we are doing the same things that they do. They earn a living, they go around, they reproduce, they die. We also do the same thing. We think a lot about it and we make a whole lot of fuss about it, but we are doing the same thing. Only difference is we can do all these things of eating, sleeping, reproducing, everything more consciously. Because of that, we hold ourselves little different from the other creatures. Otherwise, what's the big difference? You may think there's a difference, other animals are looking at you and thinking, what about you? isn't it? So, this is the fundamental process. Now individual people have some choices. I don't think it needs to become a national or international issue, it's their business, what they're doing. But at the same time, there is no need to campaign for it or against it. There's no need to campaign against it, there is no need to campaign for it. If you allow nature to take its course, the percentage of people who will fall that way are extremely small. But because of a whole campaign going on in the world, the number of people entering that space has become bigger, much bigger than what it should be. Having said that, your parents being upset about it or not coming to terms with it, if they're doing it for religious reasons, well, there may be a lot of trash in every religion, there is. But there is also some wisdom gathered over the times in every religion, yes or no? So this wisdom, some people are calling it religion, some people are looking at it just sensibly and doing what they have to do. Some people read religious texts and come to this wisdom because they're not able to figure it out themselves. So do you have to agree with all the things that they say in the religion? No. But do you have to simply blanket disagree with everything? That'll be foolish. Because human experience cannot be thrown away, isn't it? Thousands of years of human cultural experience cannot be just thrown away. We have to take what is sensible and what is not. So when it comes to this aspect, they know the consequence of this. See, when you're at this age, the most attractive word is freedom. Hello? Well, I come from the 60s. You know what 60s? So, freedom is the word. In this… but since then I've looked at human mind in so many ways. The moment you utter the word freedom, people will end up doing freaky things. Because freedom is a consequence. It is not a thing that you do. See, freedom is not an act, freedom is a consequence of how I experience my life. Freedom comes out of a responsible existence. If you think of the consequence without taking care of the process, you will always end up as a disaster. I must tell you this. Well, at least 12 to 15 of close friends that I had when I was growing up, they all died before they're 35. Well, some of them, because we were living on motorcycles, they got killed on the motorcycles, rest drank themselves to death, others drugged themselves to death. At least 12 to 14 people who were very close to me, who were around me, all died before they're 35 because freedom. Do you understand? Freedom was the real thing. They became free and they became free. Death is definitely freedom. So, one thing that young people should learn is, don't utter the word freedom because freedom is a consequence. It's something that you have to earn. It doesn't come as a philosophy. In 60s, we thought it's a philosophy. If you live responsibly, you will see freedom will come. When I say responsibly, not in the sense of civic responsibility, if you retain your ability to respond to life without any prejudice, without any restriction, you will see you will become free. Your ability to respond, if it is unlimited, it is freedom, isn't it? Now, coming to this religious resistance, there's nothing religious about this. Sexuality is a biological process. Yes? The very fact that nature created opposites, it has some intention. Well, some people didn't take to natural ways, it's okay, it's their choice. We don't have to discriminate against them, we don't have to persecute them, we don't have to put them in the prison, definitely it's not necessary. But at the same time, it doesn't need promotion either. Now, when I say freedom and responsibility, this is like this. See, suppose you want flowers in your garden. If you sit in your garden and every day do flower meditation, flowers will not come. If you want flowers, you don't have to even think about flowers. You must think soil, manure, water, sunlight. Soil doesn't feel like a flower. Manure doesn't smell like a flower. Water doesn't look like a flower. Sunlight doesn't feel like a flower. But if you take care of these things, flowers will happen, isn't it? This is the way life works. So, the important thing with our lives is, this is a very westernized approach that we are looking at the goal. We want the product, we don't want the process. No, if you're devoted to the process, if you're truly devoted to the process that you're doing right now, you will naturally do your best. Everything that you have, result will come or no? Result will come or no? It'll come. Just because you sit here and desire the result, it's not going to come. You will only have plastic flowers in your head. Flowers will not grow in your garden. So, this is a time of life. I'm surprised, like it's not just you, just about anywhere I go, young people are asking only this question. What this means is, they are trying to live too early. See, this is a time to grow, this is a time to enhance yourself, because your ability to enhance yourself and grow will not be the same after 10 years, believe me. Your ability to learn will not be the same. Your ability to grow physically, emotionally, intellectually and in consciousness will not be the same after 10 to 15 years' time. So this is the time to grow. When it's time to grow, if you try to live too much, some life you want to taste, but if you try to live too much, you will see your growth will be impeded and your life will be stunted in so many different ways. So it's very important young people focus on growth, because we are seeing this, like I've traveled across the United States, many of these universities. It brings tears to me when I see how it is. I'm glad, at least in India, most of the students are sober in the daytime. Really, I'm telling you, in top universities, daytime they're all gone. So, we're becoming slaves of commerce. Because people have intentions to do their own thing, they're just enslaving the people, young people, because they want to sell their brand. Because it seems early age, if you get used to a certain kind of beer, that's what you're going to drink for the rest of your life. Yes, they have done research on this, universities have done researches on this, and they're supplying free beer in the school. Tell me, does it take a genius to understand this, that if I open a book which is of some complexity and I want to grasp this, if I'm intoxicated, can I grasp it? Hello? Does it take a genius to understand this, I'm asking? So, you don't have to… When your parents say something, they may refer to their religion because they think it's an authority. You take away the authority, just listen to the words. If it makes sense, do it. If it doesn't make sense, tell them politely, that's not the way it is with me, all right?
All right, the next question that's come in from the students is internal and external validation. So a couple of… let's take a decade back. The word peer pressure was the next big thing. Everyone said you shouldn't succumb to peer pressure, you shouldn't listen to what your peers have to say, they're probably ill-intentioned and ill-mannered. But we've reached a point where our peers don't have to say that to us anymore. It's internal validation. We do things to validate ourselves. And that's in some form or the other, way more dangerous than a peer telling us, because we can stop them. The voices in our head, we can't. So how do we sort of cope with internal validation?
I think
or the necessity for internal validation?
I already said that most people don't need enemies, they're just doing great by themselves. Now, see, when you say you're a human being, also connected with the previous question also, because you're still not fully settled. When you say, I'm a human being, you have a body, you have an intellect, a bunch of thoughts and certain penetration of intellect, you have emotions, and you have a consciousness behind this. Suppose we were some other creature, let's say we were buffaloes, then body would be the most dominant thing in our life. Biology and body is the dominant thing. Mind, intellect. Not that it doesn't have, it has its own mind, but small. Emotions it has, but still not as big as the body. Consciousness it is not truly aware of. So essentially, body is the front end of a buffalo. What should be the front end of you among these four things? No, that's why it's a mess. Don't do guesswork, tell me.
The mind for
If you say the thought process,
yes.
see, your thought is a consequence of the data that you have gathered, isn't it? In this many years, I will assume you're 80, okay, just for safety, for my safety. In this little bit of time that you have, from birth to now, whatever data you have gathered, permutations and combinations of that is what is coming out as thought process. Thought is not coming from somewhere else. Yes, only from the data. Do you believe you have all the data that is necessary to know the nature of your existence, the cosmos and the beginning and the end of everything? No. Whatever, if you have read the libraries of the world, still what you have is a minuscule. From this minuscule, you generate thoughts and you say, that should be the front end of your life. This is a European ailment. It's the Europeans who said thought is everything. You know Descartes? You're not philosophy, right? What are you? Science, okay.
Avid philosophy.
Okay. Descartes said, I think so I exist. I'm asking all of you, is it because you exist you may think, or because you think you exist? Which way is it? Because you exist, you may think. Because most people are in a state of mental diarrhea all the time, they think thought is an eternal process. No. See right now, if my hand starts jumping all over the place, what do you think? You think I have an ailment, isn't it? So if your mind starts jumping all over the place, what should I think? You have an ailment. Only thing is, everybody is like you only. That's how everybody is, so it looks like normal. That's how it is in an asylum. Just because everybody's hand is jumping like this, does it become normal? I'm asking you, does it become normal? With hand it's very obvious and visible, but if you pay enough attention, it is visible, isn't it? So your thought is an outcome of limited data. That can never be the front end, it's very, very small. Why thought became so significant in the world is because of European system of education. Why in Europe thought became so important was, they went through a few centuries of very dogmatic religious imposition. They were not allowed to think for themselves. So somewhere in 1700s, they broke away from that. They started thinking for themselves, it looked like liberation. But now the same thought is freaking people to death. See, if I leave you alone in a room all by yourself, I will give you food and shelter and everything, all good care for you. Only thing is, nothing to do. You will freak yourself to death, believe me. So, with that kind of a mind, you want that to be the front end? So, thought is a very, very limited thing. In the yogic culture, there is no significance to thought. We don't care what you think and feel. That may sound a little abrasive, but why I'm saying this is because we know what you can think and feel. It does not mean you are ever exploring anything new with your thought. You're only recycling the old data bin that you have. Endless recycling of what you already have. Nothing new will ever happen. This is why societies are going on talking the same rubbish forever, centuries after centuries, they're discussing the same damn thing, we still can't figure out. Well, the most fundamental thing, the biology, sexuality, we can't figure it out after millions of years of existence because thought-based. If you pay attention, simply you know what it is. You don't have to think about it. Only because we're thinking about it, it's getting all distorted in the mind. Otherwise, biology is quite clear-cut. There is no need to exaggerate it, nor to… Yes, there is no need to play it up or play it down, it is there to the extent it is there. In different creatures, it's at different levels. In different human beings also at different levels, you just do it, leave it at that level. It's just one more aspect. It's a physical platform for our existence, biology, isn't it? Now, you must decide what should be your front end. You must decide.
I will… So, pretty…
See, it's not me who's dodging the questions, okay?
To be honest, I think it's still unclear to me, to be very honest. But I think the tangent that we will have to discover will…
No, there is no tangent. I'm just asking you, is it true these four dimensions are there to you?
Yes, very much.
What should be the leading edge? That's all I'm asking. What is the tangent about it?
I still stand by thought for some reason. I'm probably terribly wrong, and I will probably discover it in time.
Is it true your thought is coming from limited data?
True, yes.
So, if you're coming from limited data, is it true that you can never ever explore anything new?
You can always widen your data. You can always go out there and learn and study.
That is experience.
Correct,
See, please
yes.
understand, life is happening in three fundamental dimensions. Why in this culture all these Trishula, Trikala, Trinetra, all these three is because essentially your life is happening like this. There is memory of the past, there is experience of the now, and there is imagination of the future. These are the only ways life is happening. But people can sit here right now and suffer what happened 10 years ago.
Yes.
You can, you also can. And people can suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already. So if you're suffering what happened 10 years ago or 10 days ago, what happened 10 years ago, does it exist right now? No. So you're suffering that which does not exist. Please, psychologist, please tell me, if somebody is suffering that which does not exist, what's the terminology for them?
I'm like, you tell me.
No, I'm only asking for technical terminology. If someone is suffering that which does not exist here, what is the term, psychiatric term?
Paranoia?
You can… You can call it whatever you call it. I call it simply insanity. No, that is a very strong word because it will not help your practice if you call people that. But the fact is, if I'm suffering something which is not here, it amounts to insanity or no? Yes. So if I am suffering what happened yesterday or what may happen day after tomorrow, I am suffering something which does not exist, isn't it? So essentially, there is… in this form of education, you have done no work as to how to manage the intellectual process. No work, simply it's going mad all the time. You don't know what is memory, what is experience, what is imagination, it's all mixed up. In this state, this intellect is not a possibility, it is only trouble. I must tell you this, 4 months ago, I think 4.5 months ago, a television anchor in Andhra Pradesh, a 34-year-old woman, she jumped off the 5th floor and killed herself. She left a note saying, "Nobody is responsible for my death, my brain is my enemy." Can you beat this? Well, she articulated it, but that's the truth with a whole lot of people, 90% of humanity. Their brain is their enemy. They don't need any external enemy. If they sit in one place, they poke themselves. So she killed herself, and this… I don't know if you saw this handwritten thing went all over on the televisions and everything. Well, this brain, This brain is the most bloody precious thing that you have. It took millions of years to manufacture this brain of evolution. And today, it's become your enemy. Obviously, there is no stabilizing factor inside. When we say stabilizing factor, we are not talking about taking tranquilizers or having a glass of something to become stable. There is a dimension beyond all this. It is on the platform of this life, we have slowly built this body, we built this mind, we built these emotions, isn't it? Isn't there no concern about that platform that you call as life? If we just attend to that, all these questions will just vanish. People were asking me when I was at Anna University day before yesterday, Sadhguru, how come you can answer every question? I said, because till now, nobody asked me a question that I myself did not ask to myself and to everybody around me. I had a billion questions, nobody answered. Then I realized the questions are all coming from a wrong perspective. Because there is no profound experience of life on the surface with information that I have, I am manufacturing questions and questions hung like a dark cloud around me when I was young. So I said, till now nobody has asked a question that I myself did not raise. But why? If I raise the question, the next generation is raising the same damn question, that means we are not learning a thing from each other, isn't it?
With all due respect, speaking of mental diarrhea and data bin, I'd like to talk about the education system and sorry. So, as students, at this point, I know this has been through ages and like all students feel a certain way about the education system, but there's a certain amount of anxiety that exists within us because we learn great things here. Okay,
it's good for your future practice if everybody's anxious.
That's there. That's there. Psychology helps.
Yes.
So we feel trapped because all the learning that we do here is beautiful. Like we sit, we attend classes, and it's really nice. But the concept of one standardized way of evaluating all students is something that seems really unfair in a certain way, and it sort of pulls us down because not everybody learns a certain way, not everybody has to be evaluated a certain way, but the system should work. So there's not this one solution to it. You just can't go, okay, you do this and then everything is fine. The students are happy and the teachers are happy. There's no one direct way to it. So how do you sort of approach this system that is trapping the creative minds of young, nice, sweet students?
That's sweet you added to describe yourself. See, right now I'm involved in writing an education.
In this world, good people are suffering more or bad people are suffering more? Good people are always suffering more. Yes? People who think they are good, they are simply a suffering. Isn't it so? Please look at this. Now, first of all, how did you become good? He's not okay, she's not okay, he's not okay, he's not okay, he's not okay, she's not okay. Compared to all these people, I am a good man. From where did you get the idea that you're good? Tell me. You have compared yourself with lots of people and you labeled everybody as bad. And now you feel good. Somebody who thinks he is very good, in his mind, nobody in the world is okay. The more good you think you are, nobody is okay for you. Is that so? Isn't it so? People who believe they are very good people, nobody wants to go anywhere near them because they're so good, no life can happen. Your goodness is only in comparison with something else, isn't it? Yes? And you establishing yourself as good and making all these people are totally wretched people, then I am a really good man, isn't it? Isn't it so? Good people won't get anywhere, either in this world or in the other world. Can you take a joke? Do you have good digestion? Huh? I'm not talking about that digestion. One day, in his previous life, Shankaran Pillai was a good man. After a brief illness, he died. Being a good man, he naturally went to heaven. He landed up at heaven, there at the reception committee of angels, opened his account book, page after page, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed. Cover to cover, only good deed. Then the angels were in confusion. Then they came to Shankaran Pillai and said, Mr. Pillai, there's a little problem here. He asked, what is the problem? He said, the angels said, see here we have various kinds of accommodation in heaven, various levels of accommodation. One bad deed means highest heaven, sea front view. 2 bad deeds, next level of accommodation, 3 bad deeds, next level of accommodation, like this. But no bad deed, we don't have such a place. We really don't know what to do with you. You are the first man to come like this. Shankaran Pillai thought, what nonsense. In the world, nobody wanted to come near me because I was such a good man. I lived with the hope of getting to heaven, and even here problem? Then the angels had a discussion and they arrived at a conclusion. They said, don't you worry, Mr. Pillai, we have found a solution. Your body is still intact there. We'll give you 3 hours of life. Just commit one bad deed. We'll put you in the highest heaven. Nothing is lost. Lo, Shankaran Pillai became alive here. Then he sat there thinking how to commit a bad deed. An hour and a half passed away. See, he's not like you, he has no practice. After an hour and a half, he remembered, in the neighborhood, there is a woman who is well beyond her prime, who's been casting inviting glances at him. He being a good man, he never looked that way. Now he thought, okay, adultery is a bad deed. Because after all, he's going to do whatever he is going to do just to go to heaven. So he went looking for the woman. He went and knocked on her door. She came and opened the door. When she opened the door, Shankaran Pillai said, I want you. Why, Mr. Pillai, just yesterday evening they told me, you're on your deathbed. What is this? He said, it doesn't matter, I want you. He went in, nature took over, things happened between them. He doesn't want to die in her house. Time is running out, so he told her, I need to go. And he came to the door. The woman came to see him off, and she said, Mr. Pillai, do you know what a good deed you have done for me today? One more good deed. What to do? So good people will neither make it here nor there. It's not your goodness which liberates you. Your goodness is only in comparison with somebody else. Your goodness being in comparison with somebody else, it's not about goodness, it's a kind of sickness. It's just like, right now, people are going about like this. They are happy, they don't know what joy is. Their happiness is just that they have things that other people don't have. Isn't it? Now let's say, you are all very hungry, but my stomach is full, and I feel so happy that nobody has food, but at least I have something to eat. Is this happiness or sickness? Humanity is suffering from the sickness which is passing off as happiness for most people. Isn't it so? Levitation.
See, now I'm levitating. See? How could it happen? Is it what you're asking, or is it possible?
Is it possible?
See? Is it possible? It is possible. How does it happen? There are many ways, or there are certain ways through which you can become less and less available to gravity. There are certain practices, certain kriyas through which you become less available to gravity. Because of this, one may levitate, it's possible. Or when your kundalini raises with tremendous force, one may not levitate, but you can see one's body just taking off by itself and landing. It doesn't stay there, but it takes off and lands, takes off and lands. If you make a little effort, without any effort it's happening, but if you make a little effort, with little effort, when the energy is high, it happens. You must have heard of… you heard of Mayamma? The lady saint in Tamil Nadu, Mayamma, you heard of her? Nobody knew where she came from, but it looked like her features said that she must have been a Nepali. But she never spoke. She was in Kanyakumari, the very tip of southern India. Her friends were always dogs. She had a whole band of dogs behind her. She was so involved with these dogs that she would steal food from hotels. You know, in the small hotels they kept all these vada and other things. She'll just go grab it and put it for her dogs. So many times people even physically handled her. People would beat her, throw stones at her, because she grabs food from everybody and gives it to the dogs. She never spoke. Then people found certain times when people went and watched her, she would be just floating on the waves of the ocean. She would just sit like this and simply float. So because of that, people stopped bothering her. You know, they would protect their food, of course, but they wouldn't abuse her physically in any way because they saw her floating on the ocean. There are many ways you can make yourself less available to gravity. Can I do it? I want to walk on the planet. I have no intention of floating. Certain people who follow the path of Hatha Yoga usually do these feats. It is of no life significance. Now, if you float or if you levitate for a few minutes in a day, in what way does it alter your life? Our whole effort here is that you can walk through life very much on the ground, but you can walk through life no matter what happens with your life, no matter what kind of situations you face. You go through life untouched, still like a child as you were born. How many things happen in your life? It doesn't matter. How many things go wrong? Everything goes dead wrong. Every day is a crisis, but still you go untouched through life. This is a miracle. I want all of you to perform this miracle. On your deathbed, if you are like just born, that means you have performed a wonderful miracle of going through life untouched. That's possible. So, we are interested in performing that miracle. Floating in the air, walking upon the water, what will you do with it? 3 days if you walk upon the water, it'll be fine when you get all the attention. Every day if you start walking upon the water, nobody will look at you. They'll all take their speedboats and they'll go. Then you will also wish you had a boat, isn't it?
Sadhguru, we have heard many stories of people who enter into a deep state of meditation and they forego basic human necessities like thirst and hunger for several months together. But science says that a person can die within 10 days of not drinking water. So can you please explain us how such a state of metabolism can be attained?
For this you will have to bend your mind a little bit, because it's not in your textbook like this. Just day before yesterday, somebody sent me a message from the yoga center. There is something called as Dhyana Linga. This happens very often, but this happened to a foreign national, so the message came to me little concerned. So this person went and sat in Dhyana Linga at 7 o'clock in the morning, because everybody gets only a 15-minute slot to sit there because of the number of people. She sat there at 7 o'clock in the morning. She did not move till 3 p.m. How many hours is that? 3 plus 8 hours. She just sat there unmoving. She didn't realize that she's sitting that long. She thought she's going to sit for a 15-minute slot. So they sent a message to me, Sadhguru, like this, she's not moved, should we disturb her? I said, leave her alone, it's okay. Like this it happens. Once it happened, I sat down way back. I thought, this was new to me also at that time, I thought I'm going to… I sat there for 25–30 minutes. When I opened my eyes, a huge crowd in front of me in a village, garlands around my neck, they're all trying to pull my legs, in India, India being what it is. And the moment I open my eyes, somebody wants to know about his business, somebody wants to know when his daughters will get married, all kinds of things. Then I said, where did all you idiots come from? They say, you've been sitting here for 13 days. So, what happens in the system? That's what you're asking. See, right now, I'm speaking. If you check my pulse, it's somewhere around 55, 58 in that region. If I simply sit quietly, it'll drop below 40. If I simply sit down and I'm doing something without interaction, talking, moving, if I simply sit, it'll drop below 40. Now this is at ease. This will not build any unnecessary friction inside. So the amount of energy it consumes is very low. All of you medical students, you know this, 20% of the energy in the body is consumed by your brain. Though it is hardly a pound and a half at the most. So, this much body is consuming 20% of the energy. This much body is consuming only 80%. If you compare this and this in weight, what, it's 50 times more, much more. So, you must understand, if you keep your mind in a certain way, the amount of extra energy that you have is enormous, because you're not unnecessarily consuming, wasteful usage of energy is not happening. This is true with every system, whether it's a car, whether it's a machine, whether it's anything, how friction-free it is running, that much energy will come down, isn't it? Anything that's happening with big friction will consume enormous amount of energy. So physiologically, psychologically, energy-wise, if you bring friction-free function of your system, metabolism will drop and you will function very efficiently, because when you want to pitch it up, you have a whole range to pitch it up. When you want to lower it, it's there. Right now, the range that most people are carrying is very, very small. If you push them into activity, they will get totally tired out. If they have nothing to do, they will freak. If you have nothing to do, you freak, isn't it? So in this condition, it'll not go down. Now, everything that you consume is higher simply because
you're at a higher RPM, that's all. Within 3 days we can teach you a simple form of meditation which will bring down your metabolism by approximately 24%. This is the highest drop that you can have in conscious states of meditativeness. If metabolism drops beyond that, you will not have any sense of body. If you sit here, you have no sense of body. It is from this that a yogi is sitting. See, if you sit down here, even if you don't have a watch, your legs, your back, your bottom, everything is keeping time, isn't it? Hello? You don't need a watch. If you sit here for 3 hours, you know you need to get up. Body knows. So, someone is sitting for hours or days because there is no sense of body. Why there is no sense of body is not only because of drop in metabolism, it is also the intensity of your energy which is not biological energy. Another dimension of energy is fully intense. Once it pervades the entire body, you have no sense of body. If I go into a program 10 hours, 12 hours, I am the only one continuously drinking water, but I am the only one who will not go to the restroom, I am the only one who will not take a break. Everybody, every 2 hours they take a break and come back. Simply because how identified you are with your physiological process determines these things to start with. But there is also sadhana, there is also certain work to be done with your system. So everybody may not be willing to do that level of sadhana, but everybody must do some sadhana. Something so that what you wish to do, you can do effectively. Whatever it is in your life you wish to do, you must be able to do it as well as you can. What the hell you do is not my concern, but whatever the hell you're doing, you must do it well, isn't it? Hello? You must do it well. That's very important for a human being, that we must do it well. So for this, it's very, very important that your own body and your own mind is not an impediment. Your own body and your own mind doesn't trip you all the time. They must be platforms on which you stand. Right now, people have sunk into it. See, this is a platform, it's good. Suppose it lets you sink into it, it's not a good place to sit and talk, isn't it? It's holding us up, so it's nice. Your body, your mind should hold you up all the time. If that happens, your dependence on the outside will come down. And also, water is not always consumed through the mouth. Body consumes water in so many ways. If you activate the system in a certain way, it consumes energy. See, right now you're eating food, drinking water, breathing air, everything for what? To generate energy. But science has clearly proved to you there's enough energy everywhere. So if you're able to take in energy as it is, if you're able to imbibe energy, how is this possible? The word yoga means just this. The word yoga means you're beginning to obliterate the boundaries of your individuality. Right now, this is me, that's you, 100% clear, isn't it? Why? Because you think this body is me, that body is you. This is a clear boundary. My body and your body has a clear boundary. My mind and your mind also largely has a boundary. Here and there we may overlap a little bit. But there is no such thing as my life and your life. Have you ever blown soap bubbles, or were you a serious boy even when you were in school? No. Did you blow soap bubbles? Let's say we sit here and blow soap bubbles. You got this big bubble, I got that big bubble. Now I say, this is my bubble, that little one is yours, this is my bubble. Oop, it went. Now I don't say this is my air, that is your air. Life is just like this. This is a living cosmos. You captured some, I captured some. How much you capture will determine the significance and the quality of your existence. I want you to understand this clearly. How much of life have you captured will determine this. You may have a big brain, you may have a huge intellect, you may have a lot of knowledge, but you will not still live a significant life. Only if you capture a lot of life, if you're a big bubble, then it's significant. If you have a big body, other people may look at you and say, he's very big, but within you, that'll not be the experience. If you have a big brain, people think, oh, he is very smart, but within you, you will not have a significant life. Only if you capture a huge amount of life within you, then if you sit here, simply if you sit here also, it's too fantastic. When it's like that, whether you open your eyes, close your eyes, whether you do something, you don't do something, it doesn't really make a difference to you. Only then you will live in the world as not being a vested interest, because what you do and do not do, what happens to you and does not happen to you, does not determine the quality of your life. That is when we can really trust you, isn't it? Otherwise we don't know why you're doing the surgery. I mean, these question marks have come, isn't it? Can I tell you a joke? A man went for a surgery, he needed a surgery, so he went to the doctor. Doctor said, this is in United States, so doctor said it'll cost you $36,000. Then he said, doctor, I cannot pay that, I don't have insurance. Then doctor said, don't worry, you pay $3,000 per month. The patient said, but that looks like a car payment, you know, installment to buy a car. The doctor smiled and said, yes, I am buying a car. Now, if you need to understand this, you must have some understanding of the mechanics of who you are. I'm talking about the mechanics of how a human being is built. See, when you say I'm a human being, the outermost periphery is the physical body. In yoga, we look at everything as body because it is easier for you to understand that way. So we see the body as 5 dimensions or 5 sheets. Physical body is known as Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha means… Anna means the food. This is food body. Next one is called Manomaya Kosha, that means it's the mental body. The third one is called Pranamaya Kosha, which means the energy body. Physical body, mental body, energy body. All these 3 dimensions are physical. They are physical existence. Physical body is very gross, mental body is subtler, energy body is even subtler, but all these 3 are physical. It's just like the light bulb is physical, you can see that. The electricity behind also is physical, isn't it? The wire that connects is also physical, the electrons that flow through the wire also are physical existence. So similarly, physical body, mental body, pranic body, all are physical dimensions of life. This physical dimension of life, both in all these 3 dimensions, carries the imprints of karma. On the body it is imprinted, on the mind it's imprinted, and on the energy it's imprinted. This karmic imprints or the karmic structure is what holds it together. Karma is the cement which holds you to the physical body. Karma is the bondage, at the same time it's only because of karmic stuff you can hold on to the body and be here. This is where spirituality seems to be difficult, because if you try to take it away, it doesn't work. If you try to add, it doesn't work. You need to be just there. If you're just there, it's a moment. Now, the next 2 dimensions are called Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha is non-physical but related to the physical. It is like a transient state.
Anandamaya kosha is completely non-physical. So, Vijnanamaya kosha and Anandamaya kosha means it's the bliss body. There is a bliss body inside which is 100% non-physical. It has no form of its own. Only if the energy body, the mental body and the physical body are in shape, it can hold the bliss body in shape. If these things are taken away, the bliss body will just become a part of the cosmos. So whatever you are referring to as Atman or the soul is a fiction actually. In the sense, people are describing a certain limitation of the non-physical as a soul. But the body for the soul is still your karma. If the karmic structure is completely dismantled, there is no soul, everything merges into everything else. What is referred to as Mahasamadhi or Mahaparinirvana is just this, that you slowly understand where the keys are and dismantle the karmic structure so that you become truly no more. When somebody dies, we say, this person is no more. That's not true. That person is no more the way you know them, but they still very much exist. Now if you dismantle the karmic structure 100%, now you merge with the existence. This is what is referred to as mukti, mahasamadhi. In Hindu tradition it is referred to as mukti. In yogic tradition it is referred to as mahasamadhi. In the Buddhist way it is called as mahaparinirvana. Generally in English we are saying liberation. Liberation means becoming free from the very process of life and birth and death. Liberation means becoming free from the basic structures of body and mind. And for all this, the karmic structure is the strings which hold these things together. So when a person dies, obviously the physical body is something that you borrowed from the earth. This body is just earth, isn't it? You understand? This physical body is just a piece of earth which is right now prancing around like this. But you have to pay it back, atom to atom, no interest though. But you have to pay back every atom. You won't be allowed to carry a single atom from this planet. Nobody has managed it. Physical body will fall apart. The mental body and the pranic body, depending upon the strength of your karma, goes on. If the karmic structure is very intense, unfinished, then it has to finish it. If the karma has become weak because it has run its course, then it very easily finds another body. If it has to find another body, the intensity of the structure should come down, it should become passive. If it is very intense, it cannot find, it has to hang. So this is what you're referring to as ghosts. Somebody is dead, his karmic structure is still intense because it's not over. Now he needs much more time to find another body, he still exists. And the more intense his karmic structure is, the more visible he becomes, or more experientially available to people. There are innumerable such beings all around you, whether you know it or you don't know it. But most of them you won't feel because their karma is dissipated. They're just waiting for more dissipation before they find another body. But if their karma is very intense, this is why they told you in the tradition, if somebody dies unnaturally, either by accident or suicide or some other way, they will become ghosts. It is not so, everybody becomes. It is just that they are more experienceable. They are more available to your experience because they have more intense karmic structures. So you people may experience them little more than other beings who die of old age. If one completely completes his allotted karma for that life, he will die just like that, without disease, without accident, without any injury. When one dies simply like that person may find another body within hours. This is why in this tradition always they said if one completes his life and dies peacefully, it's the best way to die because he need not hang around. Immediately, it goes on. Now when you walk the spiritual path, the ultimate goal for every spiritual seeker is he wants to break this whole process. Or otherwise, to use an analogy, we can say, what you call as my soul right now is like a bubble. The outer periphery of the bubble is your karmic structure. Inside, there is air. Suppose you blow the bubble, you burst the bubble. Where is the air? Where is your air? There is no such thing as your air, it's become part of everything. So what you call as soul is fictitious, because there is no such thing as your soul and my soul and somebody else's soul. Right now, this unboundedness is contained in the limited karmic structure, so it makes you believe as if this is a separate entity. If you take away the keys which hold the karmic structure, then it just collapses. So, this afterlife, next birth, don't believe all this nonsense. But right now, if you sit here and just close your eyes, you can clearly see more than this body you are, isn't it?
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss any new content and invite your friends to join us on this learning adventure.